Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today is day 6 of Journey to 2500 and let's start a new game. Okay, so we are playing against 2158 and we will go with the London system. My opponent is not revealing what he is trying to play, so I'll also play knight to f3. And okay, so now we can go with the London system. And probably okay, so this bishop g4 is actually a good move. And there are many ways to play. First of all, there's no c5 coming right now, so I can play c4 and then some lines like queen to b3, which is decent. Even knight a5 can be tried, or c3. Problem is c3 is c5 and then queen b3, queen b6, and that's a small thing. So I just want to kind of go like this, and if it takes, I can go e3, b5, a4, c6 takes b3, takes bishop b5. Yeah, I can go like that. Okay, c4 I guess is the main thing to try. Bishop g4 is a decent move. e6 and queen to b3, putting pressure on the pawn, provoking him to play something like pawn b6, because now knight c6 is not working because I have this queen to b7, knight here, knight there. But yeah, maybe can work. Pawn into c4. And probably queen c6. Okay, so queen, okay, knight c6, queen b7, knight here, knight a3, into c4. I don't like this too much, to be honest. I guess knight c6 is a decent move actually. I don't want to play like that. Maybe just knight d2. Knight b4 anyways, but that's fine. In the okay, so he goes for b6, which is not the best move because his dark squares, I mean the light square bishop is already out, and all the light squares around queen side are very weak now. So I can now try to jump in with knight to e5, followed by this continuation, and I want to achieve this bishop to b5 move. If pawn takes this guy, I can just take. I want to achieve this bishop b5 idea as long as my opponent is not trying to go for something like c5, which looks decent. c5, e3. Oh, it shows my opponent has left the game. Okay, now he's back. In the previous video, I don't know what happened with my microphone, and when I started editing the video, I realized that most part of the audio was gone because it was already part of a series, so I had to anyways upload it. And I'm trying to just make sure that this doesn't happen in this particular video as well. So yeah, e3 I guess. So he's offering me this thing. So knight g4, bishop f4, knight f6, queen takes, queen b5. I'm not so sure. Also, I'm having this queen b5 check. Then this guy goes back. I can go here, knight takes, queen here. Then knight takes. It's kind of complicated. So queen here is important. c6, knight takes, bishop f4, and queen goes. And after knight goes here, I have this probably. I can try queen b5, c6, and then I just take. I was inclined to take the bishop, but I feel now my opponent is not caring too much about the light squares. So as I said, because the bishop is out of the pawn chain, the light squares are actually weak. And something has to be done, maybe this. The moment he does that, I can go knight takes anyways. Bishop f4, knight takes check. And after this, if queen takes, I guess bishop takes. Oh, my opponent left the game for some reason, and then okay, I don't like this kind of a win, but okay, what to do? So I'll try one more. Okay, let's go for one more game against 2101. Let's see if he will make the move. D4, I will go with knight to f6. Usually I like playing Slav defense, I like playing Nimzo Indian, I like playing Queen's Gambit. So this time let's try to go Nimzo. And he declines. And if I now go, the whole difference is it becomes a Bogo Indian setup, which should not be done. So I'll just go for the Queen's Gambit. Declined. I mean, Bogo Indian is also fine. Like after bishop to d2, bishop can come back. So he's playing the Catalan, which is interesting because I like to play Catalan as white. And as far as I understand, Catalan players struggle the most when the pawn is taken. First of all, I'll just play normal chess, something like probably moving the bishop somewhere. Okay, I can also play c6, then takes, and then try to go here. And now I just want to take, provoking my opponent to play this a4 idea. And if he doesn't do that, I believe it's a pawn. It's an extra pawn. So knight e5 can be played here, but then c5 is, I guess, worth a try. Oh my goodness. So my opponent is allowing all these things to happen, like b5, knight e5, knight d5, e4, and probably knight f6. I guess let's try this. Maybe I have had the same position with both colors before. And when I play such kind of positions as white, I usually play knight to e5, pawn e4 kind of a setup. And the whole point is if black is allowed playing bishop to b7 and queen to b6 or c7 and knight d7, then the pawn was lost for no reason from white. So if white is sacrificing a pawn, the whole compensation for white is that first of all, I'm having this cluster on c6, c4, b5. And second of all, white has already castled, but black is not ahead in development. And a4 is the best way to go forward with that. So I have to kind of think here. I can go b7, but then knight e5 is kind of problematic move. And maybe knight d5 has to be played after that. Okay, so I can go bishop b7, knight e5, knight d5, e4, knight f6. And yeah, I believe that's fine. And if takes, and takes. The whole point is even after knight e5, I'm not forced to actually go for knight d5. In fact, knight d5 is, I believe, the main move, provoking e4. And then once e4 is played, after this, and one knight f6 is played, d5 is usually the main try after knight to c3. But many people I have seen trying e5 if the knight moves, and then trying to unlock the bishop. But again, I have this knight d5 idea. Yeah, so my opponent is trying to go for this knight e5 idea, which is a decent move, I would say. Queen c7 can be played. I mean, the options are there to play queen c7. The whole point being, I can also play knight d5, by the way. Queen c7 looks a good move, but bishop f4. I go here. The game goes on. The game goes. He has some rook c1 ideas later on, probably by playing b3 or something. Okay. I really want to play this knight to d5 move. I think that is the best way to continue the game actually. Then playing something like bishop f6. Provoking e4. I'm going to try this queen c7 move. Let's see, queen c7, bishop f4, bishop d6. I can go knight d5 at some point. Queen c7 is decent. I hope I'm not allowing any tactics, because I really like the setup when white has this, the bishop on g2. And when you play Catalan, the only thing is you are having every problem sorted out. Like every piece of white will have no problems in coming in the center. Even though when, like, I have played Catalan before, I have been down a pawn in many situations, and then in the middle game I have regained the pawn with a better situation for white. That's why I feel, even if in Catalan opening, even if white is down a pawn, it's not like black is ahead in kind of like it's not like black is -1 or something. Yeah, so bishop f4 followed by bishop f6, bishop d6, and knight d5. So I think it's not a mistake. Yeah, it's not a mistake. Takes. Everything is fine. Oh, the mistake is, I guess, takes. Ah, okay. I guess I miss. Yeah. No. Fine. We're not blunders. I go here. Takes. Bishop should not be hanging, right? Bishop. Okay. If I take bishop b7, queen b7, knight c4, and bishop f4. Yeah, I guess bishop f4 is fine. Queen b7. Knight c4 is possible, but I have this bishop f4. I guess my opponent made some mistake some point in the development. Now this is not the right way to develop, I believe. I guess, like neutralizing the tension between the a pawn and the c pawn should not be done. I'm not so sure if my evaluation is correct, but just by playing this position from black, I feel black is doing fine now. I mean, I may be wrong here, but I'll have to check obviously after the game, but it feels that black is now doing okay with the pawns on b5 and c4. So from my experience, because I have been playing Catalan a lot many times, I play Catalan usually in tournaments, and I've been playing Catalan for many years. Most of the games of Leeches before London, when I started playing London, were mostly of Catalan. And the only counterplay what I have when I was playing as Catalan with white pieces, the only counterplay I did not feel comfortable against was this d into c4 setup, like taking the pawn when black tries to go fearless and just takes on c4 and play the setup with bishop b7. Now I don't feel so that it's equal. Now I feel black has achieved Black is slightly better in the position. That's what I feel. Because knight on c3, knight will come on c3 obviously, and the whole point with knight c3 move is I can play, probably I can play b4 thing. Knight b5 happens. Knight c3 is a good move actually. Knight c3 a6 is there. There are a lot many complications going on right now actually. Knight c3 can be done. Bishop g2, knight b5, queen d8, knight d6, queen d6, knight g6. And now, to be very honest, I'm not so sure. Queen goes back to somewhere. I lose my rook on h8. Then bishop f1, queen f1, king e7. So okay, so just to put the picture, I'm talking about this variation, which I'm not super comfortable, by the way. There, queen d8, there, knight here, discovered attack on my queen, and if queen goes back to d8, knight captures, I capture there, rook, queen takes, and then king e7 trapping the knight. And what will be happening, that I'll be left with one knight and one rook, like two knights, one rook. And I was talking about this setup when I was, yeah, so two knights, one rook, and my opponent would be having one, I guess it was, no, one rook and one bishop. Yeah, something like that, I guess. Yeah, something like that. So I'll be still up a piece, right? I'll be up knight, I believe. Yeah, it was fine. Okay, so my opponent has played something. Okay, so I don't know what that move does. Can just take, maybe. Take, he takes, it's fine. I don't understand this. So what's the whole point? I can just take, right? Not allowing that knight to be super active. Now I'm ready to castle. Okay. And then it goes. Now development is very important in such kind of positions. And my opponent is actually threatening me to take here. So the whole line is, if I go there, then takes, queen e4 happens. And queen e4 is still fine. I can just castle. But he takes my pawn. And if I try to protect, I'm losing this guy. So okay, what if I just do this first? Ignore and just do this. And then I can just go knight d7, right? So that I'm +1 in the position. He can still take me with this move. Okay, he did not. Now I will go like this, trying to put pressure. Takes, knight d5. a6 is there. Now okay, knight c3 can happen. Okay, that's fine. So I'm +1. I can afford to play this position by forcing exchange of queens, right? Queen to d5. Takes. Man, okay. Anyway, so this is a decent win, but my opponent fumbled up in the opening. So what I wanted to show you was in such kind of setups actually, like after wait. So after this and then directly 95, I believe, is the main move. And the moment you play this kind of a position, now b5 is not possible because of knight c6. That's the whole point. Takes, and bishop c6. And the moment you stop b5, now this knight will go here. Also, at some point, suppose if I just see Catalan, if I just try to take, actually the main move is like this. Go there, you take, and play the normal game. Knight c3 will come, bishop g2 will come. Everything will be happening fine. The only point what I feel what Catalan players are not super comfortable playing is when this captures happen on c4. So the game progressed, and I believe my opponent did not like maybe okay. Even right now, I'm not so sure. Even right now, 95 is fine, which he did not do. I guess he played a4 first. I went bishop b7. Yeah, so that's the whole point. You have to play 95. Now, what's the difference? Suppose if I do this, you go knight c3, and the whole point is if I just go normal development like this, maybe I believe there's a tactic like knight b5 cannot be taken because of this. So I have to kind of be responsive to that by playing something like this, and then bishop f4 comes, bishop d6 comes, and yeah, I mean a4 can be played in such positions, and then knight d5, e4 takes, and these kind of positions are fine to be played. Eventually, okay, I'm not so sure. I guess black is slightly better, by the way. Yeah, black is -1. Let's see. Yeah, okay, over this position, I feel, even though that's the whole thing. See, the whole point is I am up a pawn, but computer shows +2 in the analysis, and that's the power of Catalan, that you play such positions without like with being down a pawn, but still you are better. So the line is like you can even go a b5. That's also fine. Computer shows this fantastic bishop d5, e d5, and a b5, continuing with the same process, and now knight b5, and now it's +5. In our game, what happened, my opponent did not play this knight c3 move, which is not so good. Let's focus on the game. Bishop b7, and see, the whole thing is the moment you allow me to play bishop b7, it's equal. It becomes equal. So knight e5 was played, but now it's a bit late. I played queen c7, which allows bishop f4, and then I played this bishop d6. I don't like that, to be honest. I always wanted to play something like knight d5, but okay, what happens after knight d5? Okay, I'm glad I did not play that because it's actually a bit. Okay, so what happens? What's the whole? Okay, maybe some discovered attack will happen. Knight g6. Yes. So bishop d6 is fine. Okay. A b5 takes. Then knight c3 had to be played, and I was a little bit worried about this knight c3 idea. a6 is forced, and I guess knight f7, and the whole point is my queen is overloaded. It's defending too much, and I have to kind of play the position probably like this, maybe. Okay, so bishop e7 first. Computer says I take, and now probably this, and this is a position where I don't know. Okay, so everything is fine. This is still a fine position, but I'm having this very bad pawn. So over here, I guess knight h5 is the main move. Knight h5, bishop g5, h6, f6 looks good, but there's e3, hidden attack on my own knight. And if I try to protect my knight by this, then I have blundered the... No, I don't blunder the pawn, right? g4, g4, my knight is trapped. Anyway, so knight h5, bishop g5. Okay, bishop e3 is also decent. And then knight f6 and draw can be claimed. Okay, something like this. Knight c3. Yes, knight c3, a6 forced. And then you go bishop f3. Hit my knight, come back. And then bishop f4 again. Queen c8. And slowly, you know, computers starting to like black now. Knight d5 is now obvious choice. Okay, so basically I stand corrected. Knight d5 is actually the main choice when the queen is not on c7, it's on c8. So I forgot to kind of, by speaking too much, I forgot my own theory. Okay, so queen c8 is fine. And now the whole point is after probably knight to c3, I go here, bishop f4. If I do the same setup, I guess knight d5 will be now a decent choice to play, I guess. Yeah, it's decent. It's not that great, but it's decent. Okay, pawn is being lost, so I have to kind of protect b4 maybe. Where will the knight go? Knight b1 and c5. So c8 is something better. All right. Let's see what happened in the game after that. Okay, there. Okay, knight f7 is still a move, but my opponent did not go for it. And here I had to make a decision that I wanted to go knight d7, and I thought of this, that after this they will be interested in kind of, yeah, exchange and then take probably. And then takes and maybe a check, and then they will recapture the pawn. That's something I did not want to have on the positions. First of all, I took. And then I went for the same idea, nbd7. Then my opponent played this move, but then queen to d5, centralize. And the main idea was that I was very comfortable in playing this kind of a setup. Like now e4, knight goes somewhere. Okay. And I can play f6, and probably I can play king f7. Knight c3. A6 hanging. Rook fc1. And f6 can be played. Knight c4 is also nice. Okay, knight c4 is also a nice move, by the way. Hit the bishop. Bishop b4. And probably long castles is a move. But f6 I like. F6 I like. Oh, sorry. f6 is actually good. f6, king f7, bring the rooks and play the normal game. But my opponent kind of blundered the queen. Okay. Right. So now we are at 2283. Going good so far. So far, so good. I'll stop the video now. I hope you guys are enjoying the series, because I am. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, I'll wish you a good day, and bye bye. Take care. Thank you.